Whether you are a newbie in tech or a skilled programmer, this course on GitHub Copilot will forever change the way you develop software till now. So if you are ready to embark on this transformational journey of learning how to use GitHub Copilot and take your programming skills to new heights, then sit tight and watch this video till end. Now let us talk about what are the languages and IDEs that are supported by GitHub Copilot. Before getting started with hands-on sessions of GitHub Copilot, you need to know what programming languages you can use on GitHub Copilot. So the list is infinite, although not limited to this. Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, Java, C#, C++, Go, Ruby, PHP, and many others. As I said, the list is not limited to just these programming languages. Some might be added more, or it can add in the future. Initially, the language on which GitHub Copilot was developed and the first test was done was JavaScript. So later on, you will see that with JavaScript programming language, you can utilize all the features of GitHub Copilot. When I say all the features of GitHub Copilot, meaning different versions are there or different subparts are there for GitHub Copilot tool, which you can fully utilize when it comes to JavaScript programming language. But yeah, other languages are also supported. So this is the list which you can go through, and depending upon the programming language you want to work upon, you can choose GitHub Copilot. Talking about the IDEs supported by GitHub Copilot. So from the official announcement on the GitHub Copilot website, basically, you can see that it mentions that GitHub Copilot integrates directly into your editor, including NeoVim, JetBrains IDE, Visual Studio Code. Right, so these are the 4 IDEs, integrated development environments, on which you can use GitHub Copilot. I will be using Visual Studio Code to demonstrate you the codes and also the SQL queries. But why I have selected this? So there is no such strong reason. But yeah, initially when the GitHub Copilot was developed, it was tested and developed on Visual Studio Code. And as the first always gains a preference. So that's the reason I'm using Visual Studio Code. And also as this, GitHub Copilot was developed using this tool initially, it will be fully fledged supported or seamlessly supported by Visual Studio Code. And that's the reason I'll be using Visual Studio Code going further for demonstrating the hands-on session. Let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages as well. I have spoken a lot about advantages, right? Like, it helps you to develop and write faster code, because you don't have to, now keep remembering the small syntaxes or small keywords of the programming language. GitHub Copilot can suggest you what should be the next keyword here, or what is the advanced syntax which you are missing here. Why is your code even giving an error? That also can be pointed out by GitHub Copilot. So using all these features, you are able to write the code really quick, right? Even if suppose in the comment, just as a comment of any programming language, you write what application you're trying to develop, it will give you a basic code or basic idea. Suppose you want to write a program for linear search. You just write in a comment, program of a linear search. And within a fraction of seconds, it is going to demonstrate you or give you the code snippet for a linear search, right? If you want to develop a GUI, you want to create a graphical user interface with suppose 2 text boxes, 2 buttons, 2 labels, right? Just write down this as a comment. It will give you the basic, or I can say it will give you the complete code of what GUI you want to develop. That might need some customization depending upon what exactly the GUI you want to look like. But yeah, it will help you to write down the basic at least, right? But there's a disadvantage to this as well. As I said, first thing is that, GitHub Copilot is not going to read your mind. It's not inside your brains. So definitely you have to give a proper prompt. You have to properly write down the comment, what you exactly want GitHub Copilot to help you with, right? And as it is trained on the freely available programs, it might give you incorrect results sometimes, right? Suppose I said, I want to write a program for searching an element in an array, okay? And to search an element in an array, GitHub Copilot has suggested you a logic which is somewhat like linear search, but you wanted to write binary search. So right, there is an ambiguity here, correct? Suppose you wanted to create a GUI, as I gave an example right now, and there you want 2 text boxes and 2 buttons. It provided you the text box, but it didn't provide you the label, right? So text box should be associated with the label. What exactly has to be entered into the text box is provided as a label, right? So these kind of incorrect results might be produced by GitHub Copilot. So it's not exactly incorrect, but it's incorrect when it comes to the reference of what exactly you wanted to write code with or code for, right? So you have to be a little bit of intelligent programmer in software. So you need to have a understanding or a knowledge of the software programming language to just check and review that whatever code suggestions are given by GitHub Copilot, is it right or wrong? So that's the smaller disadvantage. But yeah, as I said, if you have knowledge of it, you might not be affected with this disadvantage and convert this disadvantage to your advantage. Now let us see how we can use ChatGPT in Visual Studio Code. And also, I'll tell you something about GitHub Copilot Labs. Okay, so we are here at Visual Studio Code window. Now here, if I want to use ChatGPT, so till now, maybe you would have used ChatGPT to get some useful information, and the version of ChatGPT which you might have used is 3 or 4, depending upon if you have a valid subscription of it or not. Now, how can you use the functionality of ChatGPT here in VS Code? So for that, again, you have to install. You just click on the extensions, and then here you have to click GitHub Copilot Chat. Okay, GitHub. You have to write here GitHub Copilot Chat. Okay, the very first option, if you see here, you have to install it again. As I've already installed, it's not showing me the option to install it. But if you haven't, you'll be asked to install it first. So install it. Again, you have to authorize this from your GitHub account. So once you've installed, you can go to this notification center and you can see that, it is asking here, a pop-up is there in the notification that you need to authorize this GitHub Copilot Chat. And so just have to click on that dialog box, which will appear. It will take you to your GitHub account and ask you to authorize there. So just click on authorize from there, right? Sometimes, like when I tried using GitHub Copilot Chat, what happens is that it added me to a queue and it said that they'll get back to me and notify on my email when I'm let in to use this chat feature. Okay, so it took around 24 hours for me that they came back sending an email saying that, you have been allowed to use this feature of GitHub Copilot Chat. So that might take time for you as well. That's the reason I've already installed and I'm just demonstrating you over here. So once you do this, installation and all the authorization part, you'll see this icon over here. Okay, so this icon, this is the chat option. Okay, you have to click this. Earlier, this option won't be here, but once you have installed GitHub Copilot Chat, you can see. So here, you can ask anything related to the program. Okay, suppose I want to know why is main method used in Java. So just write your question and hit enter. It is just saying that the GitHub Copilot is thinking, and then it will write down its answer. Right? The main method is used in Java as the entry point for any Java program. It is a method that is executed when the program is run. The main method is where the program starts executing. This is this, and without a main method, a Java program cannot be run. So this is basically why I have asked is main method used, right? You can ask any such question which you don't know. So if you want to know what is collections in Java, you can ask. You can write questions related to any programming language. I'm just referring Java here because that's what we have talked about in this course. Okay, so you can see what the collection refers here, what are the different collection classes in Java, all these information is giving. So the ChatGPT feature, you can use it in VS Code using GitHub Copilot Chat. Okay, now let me also tell you about GitHub Copilot Labs. Okay, so what is GitHub Copilot Lab first of all? So GitHub Copilot Lab is your laboratory features, meaning if you want to play with a program, play with a piece of a code. For example, you want to test that code, or you want to convert that code into some other language, like you have written in Java, you want to convert it into C, or if you are not understanding what this piece of code is, please explain me. So all these kind of laboratory activities, if you want to do on a piece of code, you can do it using GitHub Copilot Lab. But that also is a plugin which you have to install. So you have to write here GitHub Copilot Lab. Okay. So you can see here GitHub Copilot Labs is the first option which is there. You have to click on install again. As I've already installed it, it's asking me to uninstall. So you do click on install, done. This will also ask you to authorize it from the GitHub account. So the same process, you need to authorize it. And once done, this option will be visible here. So before this small bear option was only here at the down taskbar, but now it will be visible over here. So this is about GitHub Copilot Lab. So you click on this icon. So you can see here, for any piece of code, you can understand why this is. So for example, suppose I am taking the example for the Java code which we have written. So, okay, I'll take another example which I have already written here. So this is a demo.java file where a program of exception handling is written. So public static void main try A5. If A is less than B, then it is throwing an exception. And then it is handling in catch by just printing a caught keyword. Right? Now, I want to run lab or use the features of GitHub Copilot Lab on this code. So you can see here the first option is explain. So if you want to understand certain piece of code which you're not understanding, for example, if I put this try catch statement, select this, okay, and so this is automatically displayed here in the explain below explain tab. The option is here. So you want to explain it, the code, you want what the code does, so you want to some example based on this code already, existing code, you want some examples. So all these can be done here. So if I go to explain code and then you hit on ask Copilot, it is going to, explain you. So you can see below, here's the result, the explanation for the code above. So each and every keyword and line, what is being done will be explained here, right? You can see here. All the explanation is done, what this class demo is doing, and then created in which the exception is thrown. So the correct explanation is given. Now, language translation. So this code is written in Java. Now you want to translate it into some other programming language. Like I want it to translate into Python. And I want to ask Copilot. So you can see here it has, converted into a Python code. Try catch, how is this exception handling done in Python? Correctly it is done, right? You want to convert it into some other programming language. See how many programming languages is there. You can do the same. But make sure you select only for those where it's possible. Like you cannot convert a MySQL query to a Java code, right? So, make sure you are intelligent enough there to decide. And then there are these brushes. You can fix bug, you can debug your code, you can clean or delete certain codes if you want. So all these options are there. Then there is the last option called test generation. So you can see here that test generation is currently supported only for JavaScript and TypeScript, because JavaScript was the language, the very first language on which this, GitHub Copilot was developed. And that's the reason it's only right now supported for this. But maybe in later future, it will come for other programming languages also. Then you can use test generation. So for a given particular piece of code, you can just click on this, suggest a new test, and it will generate a unit test for the given piece of code. So this was all about your GitHub Copilot Lab. So we talk about GitHub Copilot Chat, GitHub Copilot Lab, and a basic GitHub Copilot, how it is helping you to write an intelligent code.